Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Marco. I'm a former professional opera singer and I love talking about video game music in all sorts of different ways after spending a decade on the stage singing and talking about music from an emotional perspective. But today we're doing something different and a lot more fun. For me personally, we're going to be ranking weird music. Now, what does weird music even mean? Well, that's a great question. I don't know. But today we're going to be ranking music from extremely weird all the way down to not so weird. First up is Shin Megami Tensei 5, Battle Destruction. Let's see how weird this gets. Someone said that's weird. Man, that lower baritone sax in there is terrific. Oh man, we shifted meter. All right, hold on. Time out. I asked the community for this, so this is all community provided. And I have to say, all right, I mean, I could see why we would call this weird, but is it really weird? Like, I think that's actually kind of like incredibly moody. I mean, okay, it feels like it's a little esoteric, so it's like a little bit like you got to kind of know what's going on a little bit. I could see that. And if you think about it, there's a couple interesting things that are happening in there musically, several things actually. So let's see if I can remember them. First of all, it either is a bari saxophone or like a contra bassoon or something. It's probably not a contra bassoon. That literally sounds like farts. But no, that hurts. Don't do that. That pressing in that is really, definitely veers towards weird. It's not an instrumentation that we typically hear. Also, interestingly enough, there's actually a melody in this that is sustaining the experience. Then when you think of the layering, it's pretty interesting because it's a bolstering piece that, I don't know, there's a desperation in the sound, but it doesn't sound odd. Like it doesn't sound like it doesn't fit. Like it fits within itself. There's almost like a contortionist element to it. I don't know if you can pick that up or not, but there's a quality in it of like just being not quite right. So yeah, and I certainly think it could fall into the weird scale of things, but at the same time, I also like low-key absolutely love it. And obviously we're going through my own subjective lens of what weird means to me. It's definitely crunchy, but the question is it weird? Like, is it like strange to listen to? So far, I don't think so. The meter shift in here was also really exciting, so it remains to be seen. Wow, it's shifting again. Yeah, that's Barry sax. Has an alarm quality to it, doesn't it? Ba-da. That's cool. Cool diminished notes there. This is like really interesting crescendo here. And then the pullback, classic. And that noise, that noise is almost like a deformed heartbeat. I mean, look, I'd be remiss to say that that's not weird. It's definitely like a unique soundscape that's really all of its own. And I actually have never really heard something like that in really my entire life of gaming. Like, it's definitely got an edge to it. And much as being an edge that I really like, it does get quite loud in the sort of up and downs of the dynamics. And there's a ton of different instrumentation in there. There is a pressure in that sound. There is a pressing that exists in that, and it is because of that pressure and that pressing, it does end up feeling oppressive, if that makes sense. It does feel like it's squeezing the life out of you a little bit. It's a cool freaking piece though, isn't it? I mean, I definitely, I guess, okay, if we're ranking this on the weird scale from 0 to 10 being the weirdest and 0 being the most tame, I'm gonna put that squarely at a 5. Let's start it off at a 5, and let's see how deep in the weird hole we can go into the rest of this. Let's see, next up is Danganronpa, Mr. Monokuma's Lesson. How weird can it be? Danganronpa's entire existence is weird. Let's see what we end up with here. Oh. Oh, I gotta stop doing these challenges. Yeah, that one's weird as shit. I mean, like that. God, I don't even talk about it. It's just strange. It could be microtonal. It's ever so slightly out of pitch, or it's like it's out of tune ever so slightly. And that really like makes it like kind of crawl up your neck a little bit. It's actually not a bad song. Like it's actually like a bop, but I find it like challenging to listen to because it is just ever so slightly unnerving. Okay, like something weird is going on here. What's happening? And why am I uncomfortable? It's not a calming piece. It's not even like a galvanizing piece. It's not a sad piece. It's just a plain odd and strange piece. That's a 7 out of 10 on the weird scale for sure. It's just like odd. I think musically it's interesting. There's a sense of discomfort in that I wouldn't want to sit with for more than 2 to 3 minutes. The vocalism doesn't help it either. The vocalism, the way that it's kind of chanted almost, it feels like we're interrupting some sort of a ritual. And that is like a who's in here, like, hey, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to be singled out like that. Let's check out Strong One, Masked Man from Mother 3. Interesting. Random speed up. What? The meter of that piece is really what's confusing because it feels freeform, which I think is kind of disturbing because it doesn't. It's really off kilter, and it definitely makes us feel. I don't know why it's called Strong One, Masked Man, but there's definitely like there's no stable footing in that. Even in the previous piece from Danganronpa, at least like you sort of like had a predictable vibe to it, whereas the improvisational nature of this particular piece makes it feel like you never know where it's gonna like jump out at you and be like, surprise, motherfucker, like you just don't know, and that's really disheartening and kind of uncomfortable. Honestly, that's probably like on a weird scale, I'd probably give it like a 6.5. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, also how sparse it is. Like, there's just not a lot of instrumentation going on. So the main dominant instrument there is the drum kit. And that's not necessarily a problem if it's following rhythm and meter that we sort of expect it to. But when it deviates so harshly and it meanders so intensely, it's kind of uncomfortable. Maybe it's even a 7. Maybe Danganronpa was too harsh on me. I think Danganronpa is probably a 6, and I'll put Mother 3 over at a 7.5 because we're veering towards like I never want to listen to that ever. And it's not quite as hardcore as like scary game music, but in a way, weird music is actually a better structure for a video like this because scary music is, yes, music can be scary. But weird runs the gamut, and that can be so many things. Even like a happy tune can be weird depending on what a composer decides to throw in there. The next one is Umineko, Happy Maria. Umineko is a visual novel.
My favorite golden dream on particle gonna be rocking on the creature, the glory of September. Which is golden dream is magical golden shell.
Jazz organ. Interesting harmony. Oh. It definitely has like classic like ghouls and ghosts vibe to it.
Your witch is cold and Freya, romantic as bones asleep.
Up, 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 bottom.
Bloody other December. You know,
Up, 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 bottom. Up, 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 bottom. Yeah. Freedom. Yeah, I think like this section where there's a sort of talked thing. Now the male singer actually ends up singing it a little bit more, so it kind of doesn't have that quite that sort of disturbed effect to it. I definitely think that the talking like that a little bit also kind of nasal pointed, that definitely is veering on the weird side, but this feels more like phantasmagorical. That's a word I just made up. I really do think Nightmare Before Christmas is absolutely a really fair exchange there. So I mean Nightmare Before Christmas is a weird movie, I suppose. You know, you kind of have to have the taste to watch that. It may not float everyone's boat. Well, most things don't float everyone's boat, let's be real. I think it's quirky. I don't think it's weird. It fits like a classic Victorian, like, you know, when we think of like the sound of Disney and the sound of ghouls and goblins, this is kind of the sound that we get. So maybe it's also like a question of being desensitized to that sound, because, you know, it really feels like it would fit into like a Pixar movie or something. So I'm really hesitant to say it's weird. It's definitely like a little bit fun. I think it's like, it's not off-putting, but I'm playing all these different adjectives to say that I really think it's probably like a 5 out of 10 on the weird scale. If you're going out with somebody on a very first date, maybe you don't put this on, or maybe you do because you want them to accept you for who that you are right away, which, you know, power to you. I'm very impressed by you. We're definitely like encroaching on like, oh, this could be really bizarre. I think some things that would have made it more weird would have been less like clean instrumentation, definitely meter shifts, a lot more spoken. We call that parlato style, where it's much more in the mouth and less like sing-songy. I think the sing-songy aspects of it definitely lend itself to that musical theater vibe that I mentioned, or the Nightmare Before Christmas vibe, which is very similar to that same style, musical theater-y light. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too weird, but it's definitely a little weird, if that makes sense. Now we've got Pandemonium 2 from the PS1. This one's, I've never heard of this before, Pandemonium 2. This is Lick the Toad, which feels like it will be very odd. Oh, okay. We're like... This one's a little funky. That's strange. What is that chanting? I actually love this. Like that's like what being high as fuck probably feels like. That is weird. I think it has some redeeming qualities, the rhythm, the sort of like, I don't know, like the 90s, thousands, sort of like a little bit of like grungy kind of like, it's strange. I would love to not remember that piece ever again. It's not that it's bad music, so I think like that's the delineation. Weird is just like, it's just kind of odd. It's just like kind of doing its own thing over there. Like no one really asked for it. It makes sense in the context. Like it's perfectly fine and good. It's just a very strange piece of music. I almost don't have anything to say about that besides like I never want to hear it again. I think part of that is because like you've got the random chanting in there, random talking, fairly consistent rhythm, but then there's like this like vibrating like ooh. You know what? It's an 8 because that one's weirder to me than the Mother 3 track. Let's check out Inscryption. Now Inscryption is definitely a weird game, but it's also an incredible game. I'm almost close to finishing it. Definitely is strange, teeters on horror, but I'm excited to check out the Trapper. I don't remember if I've ever heard this before. I feel like yes, but let's dive in. Oh, that sound effect is that. Love this. It's almost like the clip on the guitar is placed in a way so that there's no reverberation on the strings, which is really effective. I adore this hum. It's the sound effect. Wait, we will rock you. That's funny. God. Ew. Is it like, it's like either eating an apple pie or skinning something. Or like, it's like eating an apple. and shoveling. I really like that piece. Yeah, it's definitely skinning things, like if it's a trapper. You know, it's hard. On the one hand, I think that piece is actually incredible. So if this was like on a unique tracks list, which is a different thing than weird to me, I definitely think this would be near the top. I think that the sound effects are terrific at enhancing that feeling of discomfort. The humming is really interesting. Humming is a fascinating thing because humming is something we all do. It's a very human sound, obviously, and humming is so straightforward. But it's interesting because in the lower register, obviously it gets a natural feeling of danger in it. Like especially just the way that it humming kind of moves through the mouth, the oral pharynx, if you will. As opposed to the nasopharynx. The oropharynx, it becomes a cavern inside the mouth. So there's something about it not being clean. There's no vibrato. It's not like intended to sound beautiful. It's got a lot of body to it. It's really, really uncomfortable. But is it weird? I do think that the skinning and the sort of sound effect definitely bumps it up. I'm kind of torn on this one because the guitar, the muted strings, so that it's kind of getting stuck. and it doesn't vibrate and it doesn't have that brrrr sound is very effective. I mean, it's a fantastically composed piece. I think that's an 8. We veer towards 8 with that one. It's either between a 7 or an 8. I think it's an 8 because it is really kind of unpleasant and it's definitely weird. Weird doesn't mean bad. Weird means like weird. It's just unique. It's different. It kind of plays around with instrumentation. It does things. And I think that this is a great example of taking something and making it weird, making it kind of strange, making it a little bit off the beaten path that maybe someone wouldn't think to have a sound like that. You know what? No, I'm going to put that at a 9. I really like that piece. The House of Fata Morgana. This is another visual novel. This is a track called Mephitis. Oh, fuck that. Oh! No. We're not listening to any more of that. That is a 10. But that is actually horror music to me. That is so ungodly uncomfortable. That is incredibly terrifying. Again, why? Spoken chant with some text, that, then the sound effect. So this is an interesting piece because it veers towards sound design as well as music. And I find that in video games and in a visual novel like this, it's totally appropriate to like highlight the experience through sound and through instrument. And the sort of like pressing on the bow or that twisting sound, that really just like veered on extremely uncomfortable. Also the heavy like all that stuff, all that wrapped up together in a package, I don't want to listen to another minute of that. That is absolutely a 10 out of 10 on the weird scale. And honestly, that's probably a 9 out of 10 on the horror, scary game music scale as well, because that's just unnerving. It is not fun to hear. It's incredibly weird. And it's not like good, quirky weird. And it's not like, oh, that's a little strange weird. It's like truly like, what is in the person who composed that's brain? To me, that's as weird to me as reading Uzumaki. If you've never read that, don't. Although terrific manga, but it is just so strange. Ugh. Let's check out Nights into Dreams. She had long ears. Oh, Nights from Sega. Oh, you hear the background vocals? Harmonica. Oh no, I like this. Love the beat pattern. Oh my god, the opera singing. Oh, oh, oh. It's definitely quirky. Whoa! Whoa! That electric guitar in the background with some real like jazz movement here. Little piano improv there. Boom, 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 boom. Walking bass, terrific. Whoa, did you hear that transition? Whoa, hold on. That's a crazy transition. Oh, wow. I actually dig this piece. Listen. The drum set sounds like it goes totally out of rhythm to enter into the new rhythm and the new tempo. Oh wow, that has like 4 distinct phases. Okay, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I definitely think it's kind of an odd duck piece. Like, it's just a little weird. But that said, like, I don't know. There's like a couple like legitimate like moments in that where I'm like, oh yeah, this is phenomenal. It does obviously have some really interesting twists and turns that I do think it's appropriate to put this on a weird game like song list, right? It really ends up being like probably like a 3 out of 10. Like I don't think that that's like significantly weird. The things that are weird about it does so well, and they sound so good that it's really hard to sort of, I don't know, like it's a really good piece, and I think it's probably a phenomenal context piece. Neverhood, the Neverhood, cough drops. Blues? Yeah. Oh. That's amazing. Yeah, that's super weird. That's like so endearingly weird. That's most certainly a 9 out of 10. Like that's just kind of wacky. You know what's funny? Listening to that. So I've started taking piano lessons, and no joke, when I'm playing, so I'm learning Howl's A Merry-Go-Round of Life from Howl's Moving Castle. Whenever I say Howl's Moving Castle, I always think Howl's Moving Asshole. I'll put myself on a 9 out of 10 on the weird list. Every time you're like playing piano or playing guitar, or like there's a natural tendency to hum and to hum along, and it kind of felt like it was just like a dude like practicing a blues standard, and then he's got like gets something caught in his throat, and it's just so funny, but it's endearing, isn't it? It's just a great blues pattern or whatever, and it just it's very satisfying to listen to. I mean, it's definitely strange, but I find it immensely endearing, and I just can't believe that particular piece exists 1,000,000%. That's definitely a 9 out of 10 for me. And then a Chulip, a gentleman's tea break. I don't know what Chulip? Chulip. It must gotta be Chulip. What? It's so weird. So I'm laughing. First of all, like again, another like really decent jazz blues scale approach to singing. I'm laughing because it's very much it feels very much like a pastiche on opera singers. And if you ever like interact with someone who doesn't know what an opera singer sound like, I'm really thinking of if you've ever seen the Great British Bake Off. I forget their name, but he's always like, on your marks, get set, bake. And it's such a fake opera sound, and it just makes me laugh because it's very and it's funny because there's actually a name for this type of sound in the opera world, and they call it cravaten tenor because it sounds like the person's, usually a tenor, although this is a baritone, it sounds like the person is singing as if their tongue is a tie because everything's like stuck in the back of the throat and in the tongue because usually there's pressure on the tongue. And this is just like, it's just making me laugh because not only is it kind of bouncy and just very quirky, but also it reminds me of people being like, oh, cravaten tenor. Just, I don't know. Anyway, inside joke. That's so weird. It's like a very drunk person. But again, you get your walking bass. Boom, 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 boom. The coughing again. Oh, little piano. Oh, little piano. Yeah, no, that's weird as shit. I mean, like, that's also, it's probably like a 10 out of 10. In reality, I feel like the House of the Fata Morgana, what was that? House of Fata Morgana, that was definitely like, I mean, it's definitely weird, but it ends up being more of a horror piece, so it's hard. I would probably end up, I'm going to shift my numbers a little bit. I'm going to put that at a 7. I do think it's like very unnerving, but it's unnerving. It's not weird. And I would put the Neverhood and Chulip at about a 9.5 each. Just you can kind of decide where you want those to go. Like, they're just strange. And the fact that comes out of someone's creativity kind of blows my mind. Like, just like the capacity to create sound and create a sonoro world based around the weirdest shit possible is just fascinating. And I don't think weird music is celebrated enough. Yeah, so I think that's my list. And if you enjoy this, let's do another one. I mean, I have another 10, 20 songs, and there's clearly much more weird music that exists out there. So definitely let me know what weird songs we should continue to look at, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a ton, and I'll talk to you later.